In 1944, as the Second World War approached its final chapters, the towns of northern France stood silent, wrapped in fog and fear. Walls were broken. Families were separated. Hope was thin, barely breathing beneath the rubble. Through that morning fog marched a long column of Allied soldiers. Boots sank into mud. Rifles clicked softly. Exhaustion lived in every face. Among those men walked a soldier far from home, far from the warm fields of Punjab, far from the family he missed with every breath. His name was Arjun Singh, a young sepoy of the British Indian Army, carrying courage on his back and a half-written letter in his pocket. Beside him walked an American radio operator, James Carter, wrestling with a damaged field radio, their last hope of reaching headquarters. Without that radio, the entire mission was blind. Captain Morgan stopped the unit and spread out a hand-drawn map across a broken crate. He pointed toward enemy positions hidden deep among the ruins. Every man listened. Every man understood the risk, but before the orders could settle, Arjun froze. From beneath a collapsed building came a faint, trembling sound, a cry. He dropped his rifle and sprinted toward the rubble. Dust rose as he pushed aside wooden beams, brick by brick, ignoring the cuts on his hands. Finally, under a slab of concrete, he saw her, a frightened little girl with dirt on her cheeks and tears in her eyes. Her name was Elise. She whispered something, pointing deeper into the broken house. Her parents were trapped inside. Arjun shouted for help. His squad rushed forward, lifting heavy debris, fighting time and fear. At last, Elise's parents emerged, coughing, shaken, alive. They held their daughter tightly, as if the world could crumble again at any moment. For a quiet second, kindness defeated war, but peace never lasts long on the front lines. Sudden explosion tore through the silence. The ground shook. Windows shattered. Enemy artillery had found them. Arjun shielded Elise with his own body, guiding her towards safer cover as fragments filled the air. James slammed his fist on the radio, trying to bring it back to life. Static crackled. Sparks flashed. Still nothing. Shells rained across the town, forcing soldiers into trenches, alleyways, and the broken shadows of the battlefield. Enemy snipers appeared on rooftops, firing without mercy. Machine guns showered sparks along stone walls. Arjun's team returned fire, ducking behind ruined walls. James dragged a wounded soldier to safety, shouting for help but refusing to abandon his post. Finally, with a desperate twist of wires, the radio came alive. Headquarters responded. Reinforcements were coming, but they would take time. Too much time. A tank rolled into the street, its turret slowly turning toward Arjun's squad. The sound of metal grinding echoed like a heartbeat. Arjun's instincts screamed. He dove behind rubble just as the cannon fired, sending a shockwave ripping through the ground. James shouted coordinates for an anti-tank team. Two soldiers, covered in soot and determination, sprinted through the smoke with a bazooka on their shoulders. They fired. The rocket streaked through the air, struck the tank, and flame erupted from its steel hull. The explosion illuminated the sky, and for a moment, hope burned brighter than fear. Civilians emerged from ruined doorways and basements. Trembling but alive, Arjun helped an elderly man walk, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. In the midst of destruction, humanity still breathed. But before long, new enemy reinforcements marched through the fog. Dozens of silhouettes, rifles raised, moved forward like a dark tide. The gunfire intensified. Bullets chipped stone and tore dust from the earth. Down in the basement, Elise trembled in her mother's arms as the world above shook like thunder. Her father whispered prayers, each word trembling with love and fear. Above them, Arjun fought beside James, moving through smoke and shifting shadows. During a brief lull, he pulled out his notebook and began writing again. If this reaches you, he wrote to his family, know that I did everything I could. His hands shook. Not from fear, but from exhaustion. Suddenly, the ground vibrated with a new sound. The roar of engines from above. Allied fighter planes swept through the clouds, dipping low over the town. Bombs fell on enemy positions, forcing the opposing army into retreat. The sky lit with orange flashes, illuminating the broken streets. Slowly, painfully, the battle faded. The gunfire thinned. The smoke drifted away. Silence returned to the wounded town, broken only by the soft cries of families reunited. Elise ran to Arjun and wrapped her arms around him. He knelt, wiping dirt from her face, and gave her a gentle smile that carried every emotion he didn't have the strength to speak. Then, quietly, he handed her the letter he had written, a piece of his heart, trusted to a child he had known for only hours, but cared for deeply. James contacted headquarters with a calm, steady voice. "The town is secure," he said. Words that felt almost unreal. Civilians stepped into open air for the first time since the battle. The sun broke through the clouds, warming faces that had forgotten what sunlight felt like. Captain Morgan called the soldiers to regroup. The war was not over. Their mission continued. Arjun rose to his feet, gave Elise one last reassuring smile, and followed his squad down the quiet road. She watched him go, clutching the letter tightly to her heart. As the soldiers marched across the open countryside, James cracked a small joke, just enough to make Arjun smile, despite everything they had survived. When Arjun looked back toward the town, he saw Elise standing on a small hill, waving. Her silhouette, framed by soft morning light, remained etched in his memory. He placed a hand on his chest, feeling the second copy of the letter in his pocket, his promise to himself, his reminder of why he fought. Time passed. Peace slowly returned. Homes were rebuilt. Gardens grew where craters once scarred the earth. Years later, in a warm French home filled with calm sunlight, Elise opened a small wooden box. Inside lay the old, folded letter Arjun had given her. The ink had faded, but the memory had not. She read the words softly aloud. "If this reaches you, know that I tried my best." She closed her eyes, remembering the soldier who saved her life, her family, and her hope. A man who walked into her world in a moment of terror, and left behind a piece of compassion that outlived the war itself. As she looked out the window toward the distant hills, she whispered a promise that his kindness would never be forgotten. And so, even as time carried everything forward, Arjun's letter continued to speak, not of war, not of fear, but of courage. Sacrifice. And the quiet heroism found in the hearts of those who choose compassion over conflict, even when the world is burning around them.